Good morning, I'm Del Walters in New York City. If you are just now awakening, it has happened again. These are the images coming to us live out of Paris. 12 people dead this morning at Charlie Hebdo. That is a satirical magazine that is based in that city. Now, for those of you who are watching in the U.S., you might want to think about a magazine like Mad Magazine, but on steroids. It is a political magazine that often targets people and often makes those people that are targeted very angry. Gunmen breaking into the offices, intense gunfire being reported.
In fact, French officials have been saying that there have been recent threats against the magazine in recent weeks. Now, there are reports that the gunmen were wearing masks when they stormed the offices, armed with automatic weapons, at least one rocket launcher. And we do know that they escaped by hijacking a car nearby. Now, the French president, François Hollande, is calling it a terror attack, and he immediately raised its terror alert to the highest level.
Here in New York, we continue to track a lot of developments concerning a lot of stories, including the latest on that Air Asia flight, but we want to take you back live now to Paris. This is the coverage of our sister network, Al Jazeera English.
Context for us again. I just want to remind the audience that we do not know who is behind these attacks at the moment. But Anne, just a day ago, we saw in Dresden, in Germany, a large rally of people who gathered in that city against Islam, saying that there is an Islamization of Germany and they are against it. Now, we also saw a rival rally in Cologne that said that no, that is not what Germany stands for. We, in fact, welcome people of all colors, of all religion. Give us an idea of what it's like in France. Is that same sort of debate that's happening there?
Well, the problem is there is a big confusion between the Islam and terrorism and extremism. I mean, we cannot put what is going on now in Paris in the context of the relation between let's say the controversial relation between Europe and Islam. It's not, the problem is not here. Maybe it's some political groups are using that, but still, it's about extremism and not Islam. But some, I mean, because there is a kind of ignorance, we can say that, about Islam and so on, and we have some economical problems. So some political people are just trying to exploit and say that there is a problem between Islam and Europe, between Islam and democracy. And you see that it's very dangerous to enter into this debate because the real problem is extremism. It's not Islam.
And we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your insight. Very valuable indeed. Anne Guidicelli, the founder of Terrorisk, a consultancy on security risk there. She's been speaking to us from Paris. And just to recap now, for those of you who may have just joined us here on Al Jazeera, at least 12 people have been killed in an attack on the headquarters of the satirical weekly magazine Charlie Hebdo in Paris, in Bastille in Paris. We are being told that several people have been injured in that attack too. We are trying to ascertain how many people have been injured. Earlier on, we did see pictures of at least 2 people being carried out on stretchers and into ambulances, being ferried away, no doubt, to the nearest hospitals. You can see these are the latest pictures to come out. These are live pictures that are coming out outside of Paris. Lots of security there on the road. The roads to the magazine's headquarters is being blocked at the moment. Also, we're being told that 2 attackers, 2 people made this attack on the headquarters. The attackers were dressed from head to foot in black, and they had balaclavas on as well. They have been able to escape in a stolen vehicle. French President François Hollande was at the scene a little earlier on too. He said that France is now on terror alert. This is what he had to say.
An act of exceptional barbarism has just been committed here in Paris against a newspaper a newspaper which is of course the expression of liberty and freedom, against journalists who had always wanted to show that they could work in France to defend their ideas, and for having precisely this liberty and freedom that our republic protects. There were also police officers here to protect them, and journalists and police officers have been killed. Right at this minute, there are 11 dead people. 4 more are in a critical condition. We still don't have the definitive toll of all the victims, but there are 40 people now who are safe and who are protected. In a few hours, we will know the exact toll. I've ordered that a meeting be held at 2 o'clock this afternoon at the Élysée Palace of all the responsible ministers who are directly concerned as far as protecting our country is concerned. We must make safe all places where the same sort of acts could happen again by these same barbarians. So we have engaged the plan Vigipirate Attentat. There are also actions that have been immediately launched following this aggression to find the people who did this. They will be pursued for as long as is necessary in order that they be arrested and put in front of a court and a judge so they can be prosecuted. Today, France has suffered a shock following an attack that is terrorist. There can be no doubt of that. On a newspaper that had several times been threatened and which was protected because of that. So in these moments, it's important for us to be in one block, to show that we are a united country, that we know how to react in the way that is needed. That means with firmness, but always with the interest of the nation paramount. That will be how I react now and will be my will right through the next days and weeks. I will have to speak to the French people again soon because I have said we are now in an extremely difficult moment. Several terrorist attacks have been foiled in the last weeks. We knew that we were threatened like other countries around the world. We are threatened because we are a country of freedom, and because of that we will control these threats and punish the aggressors. No one should think that they can act in France against the principle of the state and attack the spirit of the Republic. That is to say, a newspaper. And I think today of the victims. 11 people are dead, 4 are between life and death. We are here and we will have in our hearts to find those who carried out this attack, and we call for national unity.
Was French President there, François Hollande, speaking at the scene of the attack shortly after the attack occurred on the headquarters of the magazine Charlie Hebdo. These are live pictures coming out of Paris. As you can see, heavy security outside the headquarters. I believe we can now show you a YouTube video that's just come out. We're not quite sure where this video is being filmed from, but as you can see, it's rather shaky. I'm being told that this was filmed during the shootout between the attackers and police officers outside the headquarters of Charlie Hebdo. We do know that at least 2 police officers were among the 12 people who died in this attack that occurred at least an hour and a half ago. As I said before, now heavy security presence at the scene. Also on the scene now is Stefan Decree, an independent journalist who joins us on the line. Stefan, just describe to us what's happening there right now.
Well, it's huge confusion. It's a big mess. There are tens of policemen also now on the roof. There's a lot of confusion. And it's incredible what happened. This is the worst deadly terrorist attack in French history. I just received the information that the editor-in-chief of the magazine has been killed. It's an attack on democracy. It's an attack of the freedom of press. There are already tens of journalists around here, and on their faces you can read their shock, their horror, and basically we're all. Yeah, we don't really know how to react because these are our colleagues that have been killed. 12 people died, 4 more are seriously injured. It's a mess.
Stefan, just before we cross to you, we were looking there at a YouTube clip of what had happened during the shootout between the attackers and the police who had gathered there. We do know that at least 2 police officers were killed in the shootout. It has been described in some circles that, now we're not going to show you, but one of the police officers did die in this attack. We're just going to freeze the frame right there. We do know that he died in that attack. It has been described as an execution, Stefan, the way he died, the way he was shot. Just give us an idea of what the reaction is like in Paris at the moment to this shocking incident.
Yeah, we don't know how to react because, like I just said, there are tons of journalists here, and I can read their faces. Most of them are really used to hard news, but this is something completely different. This is an attack on the press, on the media, and its whole. I don't know. We're in shock. That's what I can say. And I'm here as a journalist, but I have to do my work. But I can't deny the fact that I'm really I'm in shock as well.
Stefan, a lot of people have also said that this is not just an attack on France, this is an attack on freedom of speech as well, as you said, and you are shocked, and many of your journalist colleagues are as well. Have there been any other attacks in the past that you can remember that have targeted journalists in France?
Well, it's very weekly was a target of an attack a couple of years ago with a Molotov cocktail. And some windows have been slashed as well. But this is an unprecedented scale. It's also the reason why the magazine was being protected already for 4 years by placing police officers in front of the entrance of the head office. But apparently that was not enough, unfortunately, and the attackers of today just killed the police to enter the offices of the magazine and started shooting around like it was an execution. They shot at police cars. I just saw a police car that was completely destroyed by bullets. This is a massacre, and it's a very professional attack. It must have been planned for a very long time, and the police has no trail of the ones responsible for this attack right now.
Stefan, we also know that the attackers managed to escape in a stolen vehicle. Has there been any more development on that as to perhaps where their whereabouts are?
No, not at all. Apparently they have fled in a car and police lost track. That's according to the information I have now here in the street itself. The police has lost track of this car, but of course I'm sure the whole of the police force of France will be hunting them down. And as a matter of fact, about 1 hour ago, the terrorist alert phase in Paris, in the Paris region, has been put to the highest level, which has never been done before. This is an unprecedented attack. And I think the security measures will be huge, and maybe people fear of more attacks.
Indeed, because we are being told that these attackers are armed and they've managed to escape. The question really is, in a city like Paris, how far can they go? Will they be able to go underground?
Well, it's a huge city, of course, and if they planned this attack carefully, they could have parked cars to run away. Several locations. It's a big city, but the police force is huge. France has a long experience with chasing terrorists. It's a very professional police force. Yeah, I'm sure they are doing everything right now what they can to attack, to get the killers.
All right, Stefan de Cree there, keeping us up to date on the latest on the scene there in Bastille in Paris on that attack on Charlie Hebdo headquarters. Let's now recap on what's happened in the last hour and a half so far. Gunmen have attacked the Paris office of French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. French officials say 12 people have been killed and 10 others have been injured. French President François Hollande has been to the scene and called it a barbaric attack. He is meeting with his security cabinet. He also said that several terrorist attacks had been foiled in the past few weeks. Now, the Paris prosecutor's office has already opened an investigation into the attack.
The anti-terrorism section of the Paris prosecutor's office has opened a file to look at the background of the attackers, the type of attacker, any links to terrorism and any links to criminal activity. The Paris prosecutor has also engaged other investigative bodies, including the anti-terror section of the Criminal Tribunal, the Judicial Police and the Secretary General of the Interior Ministry.
Frank Guillory is a French political commentator and journalist and joins us now on the phone from Paris. Mr. Guillory, thank you so much for being with us. Before we go into the political implications of this, you, as a French citizen, give us an idea of what's going through your mind right now. How are you feeling about this attack?
Well, there's a great sense of shock, and horror in front of what happened, and we didn't expect something to happen in Paris, and France was targeting the path of attack, but we always thought that we managed to escape such a threat, and that it could not happen in Paris because our security services are very, very much involved in fighting terrorism. So that's a great a sense of shock, a sense of an attack against freedom of press, and behind freedom of press, an attack against French Republic, our democracy, and everything we stand for.
Tell us now the political implications. Let's go into the political implications of this particular attack. What we know about Charlie Hebdo is that it is a magazine that has tried to push boundaries, societal boundaries, the way people think about a lot of things. Take us through some of the more controversial publications that Charlie Hebdo has published.
Well, apparently, this attack could be directly linked to what happened in the autumn 2011 when there was a first attack with a Molotov cocktail, as President Contributor said. When the satirical magazine was just about to publish something called Sharia Hebdo at the time when Ennahda came to power in Tunisia, and it was perceived at the time as an attack against the Prophet Muhammad and against Islam. There's always been a tradition at Charlie Hebdo to denounce all form of radical religious radicalism, not just Islam, but also famously they attacked the Pope and they attacked all religions. So very much a symbol, if you want, of secularity, laicity, French, going back to the roots of what they perceived as French Republic. So that it has to be linked. It's not just, Charlie Hebdo was not just some sort of Islamophobic publication targeting Muslim people and through them the Prophet Muhammad. Very, very much part of this tradition, of satire, which is part of our French tradition.
Mr. Guillory, if you could just stay on the line for us. I'm being told that we have the footage that you were talking about of that particular incident from 2011, November 2nd, when the Charlie Hebdo headquarters was firebombed. This was in fact the aftermath, as you can see, of that firebomb of November 2nd of 2011. This was after Charlie Hebdo had published a cartoon of Prophet Muhammad. It's very interesting, too, that you say, Mr. Guillory, that it's almost the Frenchness or being French identity is being challenged here, isn't it? I mean, we know that the national motto of France is Liberté, Égalité and Fraternity. Do you feel that perhaps your French identity and French freedom is being challenged here by this attack on this magazine?
Well, President Hollande on the scene said that we are threatened and we are targeted because we are a country of freedom. More importantly, he also called, President Hollande called the attackers barbarians. And that's what it is about, I believe. It is not just an attack against France or against the Republican ideal or the French Revolution and everything. It's also, as well, it is not just an attack against the Western world or whatever. It's an attack against the modern world, against civilization everywhere. If suddenly there's a backlash and these people think that they can go and kill 12 people or possibly more, it is what is at stake. It's actually our freedom, the freedom of the whole world. If you can't express an opinion, you have the right to disagree with an opinion. You have the right to disagree with the caricature. You've got the right to feel offended, but at the same time, it is not a right to kill people for this. So that's what very much I think what is under attack, if you want.
At the same time, though, Mr. Guillory, at the same time, and I understand that freedom of speech is very important to France, and as you've just been explaining there as well, it is a threat to freedom, to social freedom in France. But some people would also say that with freedom of speech comes responsibility. Perhaps there is a need to toe that fine line, the need to be more sensitive towards other people's religions, cultures.
You're absolutely right. I mean, this is an ongoing debate, and this cannot be solved in the aftermath of such an attack. What is very important, and that's what President Hollande said on the scene, and he probably say also tonight when he will address the nation, is that such an attack should not threaten the unity of France and of the French Republic. And it is very important at this moment to not let anyone put the responsibility of this attack, for example, on all Muslim people in France. It is very much a time for all French people to say that it is not an attack by Islam, it is an attack by, in the name of some sort of Islam, by some terrorists, and a message should be sent to ordinary French Muslim citizens to tell them, we know that these attacks are not in your name, and that you're not responsible for this, and we must all, as a nation, as the French Republic, be united all together to fight any form of terrorism, any form of extremism, any form of radicalism, any form of ideology that could threaten our way of living together. Even if our way of living together has to be improved, even if probably we must understand that people can be offended by a caricature of Prophet Muhammad, or a caricature of the Pope, or a caricature or any other people. We have to understand this, and you're right, not everything is permitted. Freedom of press, freedom of thought is not without any limit. But more importantly, we've got to call for national unity above all political beliefs, above all religious beliefs, and stand united against such barbarians, to use the word used by President Hollande.
All right, Mr. Guillory, thank you so much for expressing your opinions here on Al Jazeera. Frank Guillory there, French political commentator and journalist that's speaking to us on the phone from Paris. Now, we do know that the French President, François Hollande, spoke a short time ago at the scene. This is what he had to say.